Liebe Freunde von Jugend Eine Welt, heute habe ich einen besonderen Gast vor mir, Pater Ubaldino, ein gebürtiger Venezuelaner, der jetzt in Uganda mit den Flüchtlingen aus Südsudan arbeitet. Und es freut mich, dass wir heute uns mit ihm unterhalten können und ein bisschen mehr erfahren über die Arbeit von Don Bosco dort und auch, wie Jugend Eine Welt mit ihrer Unterstützung hilft. Father, it is nice to meet you here in this place in Vienna at the office at Jugend Eine Welt. We have met us several times in several places, but before we go into details, please present you to our friends and donors, where you are, where do you come from, and where do you work?
Yes, thank you very much. We are very happy to be here with the people who are helping us a lot. My name is Father Ubaldino Andrade. I am from Venezuela, but since I went up to Africa almost 25 years ago, the children find the name Ubaldino very difficult, and they decide that they baptize me with a second name, and they call me Father Uba. And so I have been working in Sierra Leone, Ghana, in West Africa, also sometimes in Nigeria, Liberia, and after when I was in Ghana, the rector major, our superior general in Rome, asked me that I was needed in Uganda, in the north of Uganda, to work with the refugees that was coming from South Sudan.
Mm-hmm. So Jugend Eine Welt is supporting the project since many years, but before going into Palabek, what could you tell us about the situation of migrants and refugees in the Africa region you are working with? Where does the people come from? Why do they flee? How would you describe to an Austrian the situation there?
Unfortunately, the situation of the people of Africa is still behind in comparison with many other continents. You know, people suffer the ravages of war. People decide to look for the power, and the way to look for power is making people flee from the country, the house, the living in families, and sometimes scatter them. Sometimes you flee from your country because hunger, there is no food, there is no rain, climate change, and so you are not able to plant, and the food in the country is very little. In the case of South Sudan, there is many tribes who are pastoralists. They take care of cows, the goats and sheep, and when they not find food for the animals, they fight with other tribes and they put them out of their lands and make them to run to a secure place to save their life.
Mm-hmm. Coming to Palabek, which is the place you work with, I saw the first picture, you sitting with many children below a tree, a big tree. You started to give classes below the tree shadow. What was the origin of the project there, and how could you describe the beginning, and what is the solutions and you are doing now?
In 2017, Pope Francis, seeing the situation in general in the world with the refugees and the migrants, he asked the congregation, please do something. Mm-hmm. Do something for the people who are leaving their home, their country, and running away for a secure place. And so coincide that in May of 2017, a good number of people from South Sudan ran to crossing the bordering line with Uganda, and they reached to a place called Palabek. That is a very isolated area, it's a very desert area, very extremely cold during the night and extremely hot during the day. The people in thousands, they fled from South Sudan and they reached to the place. In May, In June, the Salesian, responding the call of Pope Francis, they reached the place. 3 days ago, we were celebrating in the Feast of Corpus Christi, we were celebrating 5 years of our presence in Palabek. At the beginning, we went there just to see, just to meet the people. And when they find out that we was a Catholic priest, they immediately brought us to a tree where we found 400 people gathering around a catechist who was helping the people, accompanying the people in their Christian experience. So the Salesians begin to go sometime during the weekend to celebrate the Mass, and little by little they remain in the play. The catechist, this man, offered his own house, his own place to offer for accommodation to the Salesians. The day when I arrived, I still remember, I arrived to the refugee camp, and it was February in 2018, and I asked the other Salesian who was already there, where is our house? And he told me, there is no house. Here we live with the people. And we went to the house of the catechist, and we went until the night. I was still carrying my bag, waiting for my room, my shower, my toilet, some electricity. There was nothing of that. A lady, the wife of the catechist, spread a mat in the floor in one of the grass house, and she told me, Father, this is your bed. I really became in crisis. I really was, it was very hard, very hard. February is the hot time in the year. It's the middle of the summer, the dry season, and it's extremely hot. In the midday, you cannot go out from the grass house because you will not be able to do anything. In that moment, there was probably 54,000 people living in the place. At the moment, there is 67,000 people living there, and we, since 2017, we are living with them. Many agencies, many international agencies, United Nations, the government of Uganda, they work with the refugees, but they arrive to the camp at 9 o'clock, and at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, they leave the camp because security. The only agencies that remain in the camp are the Salesians of Don Bosco, who live with the people in the center of the refugee center.
So that was in the beginning, but Salesians are not only there to speak about the word of God, they also feed the people, they train them, and they help them in medical affairs and other issues. Jugend Eine Welt and the Salesians had a long relationship, all the 5 years in the past. What is the offer of Don Bosco to the people in that camp nowadays?
Well, the people little by little brought us to what we can offer to them. And really, our main work is education. We offer to the young people and to the children, almost 41% of the population are minors of 18 years. And 83% are women and children. The men was left behind to defend their places, to defend their house. So the Salesians from the very beginning has been working in education. We have, with the help of Johannesburg, we have been trying to open 4 nursery schools and 1 technical center. The nursery schools are when we talk about places, we talk about a big tree where the children gathering and receive class every day. One of the problems for what the people run away, even when the war in South Sudan finished some years ago, is because there is no food, hunger. So we provide, through the help of our partners, we provide feeding for the children. We provide a cup of porridge in the morning, and in midday we provide the lunch, and the children receive education around 750 at the moment, but there is many others we cannot help because we need more help. And in the technical school, it has been also an oasis. The technical school is an oasis in the middle of the desert. There is around 250 students, the majority of them girls, who I remember the first group, we forgot to ask them if they had children, girls minors of 18 years. We forgot to ask them if they had children. On the following Monday, when we opened the school, the center, the girls was carrying the children behind. So they was going to class, they was working 13 kilometers, 15 kilometers to learn a trade, something that can dignify the life, carrying the children behind. And many times we was in class and the children was behind. The mothers, the girls' mothers, young mothers, have to go out and take care of the children, or sometimes they have to give food to the children in the middle of the class or in the assembly. But as I say, the technical school has become our oasis in the middle of the desert. They not going there only for the education that is very important, but they going there also because they find a home, they find a secure place.
When we spoke 2 years ago, one of the topic was COVID, and he was laughing when I asked you, and what are you doing? What is the prevention method you apply? And you told me there is a little bit of water, and there is the soap, but the water nearly never is used because they need it for drinking and not for washing. How was the situation at that time in the camp, and how did you deal with this COVID? Did it affect the daily life, or was it ignored? How would you describe it to our people?
Yeah, the camp, the refugee camp, is very isolated. It's almost a 9 hours travel from the capital city of Kampala. And it's very near to the bordering line, 30 kilometers to the bordering line. You can walk to South Sudan and coming by in one day. During the COVID, as in many crises in Africa, the first feeling is that the people don't believe. They don't believe that there is a crisis, that there is something that can kill them. And during the COVID crisis in the country, we experienced 3 lockdowns, where the country was completely shut off and nobody was allowed to move, nobody was allowed to go to work, and people, the children had to receive education in their house. But in the refugee camp, there is no electricity. And the refugees, for being refugees, they are not allowed to have work. They don't have job. And in the middle of the desert, there is no factories, and people remain in the grass house for a long time. I remember that we closed the school more by fear. We don't know what can happen, and we be responsible of what happened. We closed the school as the government indicate. But the following Monday, the students was again in the school like nothing happened. Because they say, what are we going to do at home? We don't have television, we don't have electricity, we don't have food. Many of us, the only food we eat is the food that we receive in the school. So in great number, almost 200, they was coming in a regular everyday class. We was not doing the class in the normal classroom because the classroom are very close to the main road, and we was feared that the militaries or the police can come in and put us in prison. You know? But we was doing the work behind. In the morning was more farming. All these 200 people was farming maize because it's the main food. And after we have 2 or 3 hours of class, and we conclude with the lunch. That was a very big place of food. You know? Usually they eat a lot. But also it's very interesting that when you sit with the Salesians, we eat with them every day. When you sit with them, you will note that they always carry an empty container, a plastic container, or a plastic bag, no? And the food is divided in 3, the plate is divided in 3 portions. Sometimes half of the food go to the plastic bag, or 3/4 of the food go to the plastic bag, because that is the food that we bring to those who remain at home. You know? The United Nations help. They gave 2 cups of oil, 3 kilos of maize, 3 kilos of bean, and 6 kilos of maize for each person every month. But that is not enough. And the situation is worse when the person lives alone, when the family has a lot of children, so they put everything together. No? Still in that time, Palabek was very distant. All the agencies, they left the settlement, they left the camp, and we was living there with the people. So we found that the best thing that we can do in that moment was to begin to make a face mask. You know? So we bought in the city, we bought a package of second-hand clothes. And we was cutting the second-hand clothes until somebody said, well, you are, there is a way to test it. So you have to put the face mask and you have to blow and put a candle in front. And if the candle go off, means that the mask was no good. And that's, unfortunately, the first group of masks was no good. You know? Later we was making double the cloth 3 times, 4 times, and after the candle was not blow off. You know? And we begin to produce face masks with the girls in the tailoring department. And we start to go to the health center, to the military who was in the area taking care of the security, the police, and even other agencies we was giving. The military even one moment said, thank you, Father, because nobody has come here to give to us anything. We brought the soap, and we brought containers, empty containers of oil. We washed them very well, and we put a tap, and that's what they were using when they can find water. Because to find water, you have to walk long distance, and as you said, the water is better to use for drinking and for cooking than for washing the hands. You know? So that was the experience of COVID. You know? Very tough, but very significant, because the students, the 250 students, they say Don Bosco for us is not just a place where we learn a trade, but it's a place where we really feel home. We really feel.
And I understand that it is not only a help you give to the people, it is a common living together, and it's a huge solidarity within the people you work with. Could you give us 1 or 2 examples of success stories of young people you have been working with, and what are they doing? They stay there, they get a training, but is there a perspective for the future to leave the place, to get a job outside? Have you 1 or 2 stories you could share with us to come to an end?
Yeah, our motto from the beginning was Don Bosco, rebuilding the life of the people. And it's true, in the technical school we have already graduated more than 500 students. At the beginning we were doing courses of 3 months. At the moment we are doing courses of 1 year. And many of our students going back to South Sudan. They understood. The life in the refugee camp is people are doing nothing. The young people especially, they have all the strength, but they cannot do nothing, they cannot walk.
But that's important, they cannot do, they would like to do, but
they would like, yeah.
They would like to
They
do.
would like. They have all the capacity, all the strength, but they don't know how to do, and they are not allowed to do anything. Mm-hmm. So Don Bosco offered to them first the dignify the life of the person, mm-hmm. to let them know you can do something more than to be with the hands crossed, waiting for the something that sometimes never going to happen. Mm-hmm. So you can do something. You can be, you have the strength, you have the capacity to do so.
Give me one story from one boy or girl who succeeded and who did something.
Yeah, we have many, and probably the one of the very interesting, it was a girl who came from South Sudan who already was a mother or a child who she left in Juba. Mm-hmm. We have mother, you know, and she ran to Uganda, and she was living in the refugee camp. Her name is Gladys, mm-hmm. and Gladys decided that every weekend she wanted to go by the bush to see her son that was in Juba. You know, it takes around 4 or 5 hours to go, and it's very dangerous journey. So what she was doing is that she was renting or paying a motorbike, and she was going with the motorbike there. You know, many times in that journey the motorbike was broken, mm-hmm. and she decided, no, I have to learn how to repair the motorbike, mm-hmm. and she went to Don Bosco, mm-hmm. because it's one of the courses that we offer to the students, how to repair motorbikes. And she learned. She was one of the first girls, students in the center. I'm very strong because the motivation was going every weekend for to visit her child. You know. Later on, she also said, I want to learn how to drive a car, how to repair a car. And we sent her in a program of sponsorship to another Salesian school in Uganda where there was the driver school. She learned how to drive, and she went back to Juba, where she's living now, and she's working for the United Nations and for agencies, and her salary is $700 a month. No?
More than you get.
More than what I get, yeah. I think I'm going to become a driver in Juba. No? It is incredible, no? And she keeps in communication with us, you know, because when we teach them, we not only teach a trade, we help them to be free and to be critical to the situation, and to their contribution is not just to drive a car, but to make people know that we can be useful, that we can be somebody, that we can help our family to be better. And I think she learned well, no? Especially because she's a woman, you know? And there is many girls who has no future, and she found her future. Fighting, struggle was not easy, but she was able. You know?
I could listen to you much more hours, and I'm happy to hear also these positive stories. So I'm very thankful that you and all your co-workers stay there in Palabek and doing a very important job. And I'm happy that we have partner like you we could support. Sie, liebe Freunde und Förderer von Jugend Eine Welt, darf ich noch darauf verweisen, auf unser Magazin Giovanni, das auch immer wieder Geschichten bringt, wie die von Pater Uwe und von vielen anderen unseren Projektpartnern. Sie finden Informationen auf unserer Webseite Jugend Eine Welt, in unseren Broschüren, und natürlich können Sie uns jederzeit schreiben oder anrufen, und wir informieren Sie gerne, was wir tun. In Uganda, in Palabek und auch in all den anderen Ländern, in denen Jugend Eine Welt mit Don Bosco und anderen Partnern tätig ist. Danke Ihnen und alles Gute.
Thank you.